Alright guys, welcome back to another episode. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the A6500 and why I am not switching over to the E-mount system just yet. Now I am currently using the GH4s, the Panasonic GH4s, and I love this system. So I'm going to kind of explain why I'm going to keep the GH4s for now and not switch over completely. I was trying to research these to find out if I should switch over my whole system, the GH4s, to like the A6500 and the A7S2 for video. But I thought, the A7S2 has been out for quite some time now, at least a couple years, and I was hoping NAB they would have announced something, but they didn't. So in August, they said they're going to do another announcement. If they do not mention any A7S3, then I'm going to buy GH5s. So I'm going to stick with the Micro Four Thirds system, the GH4s for now, GH5 soon, because next month they should be doing an announcement. But the reason why, so let's just go over the pros for now. A6500 is a 5-axis stabilization system, and that's mainly the reason why I got this, because the GH4 doesn't have anything built in. It's just the lens stabilization, no in-body. So the 5-axis image stabilization, and the main reason why I got this one, and I'm still going to continue to use this one on my gimbal, and I'll explain how I run it on my gimbal later on. But the image stabilization, because it does go well with the gimbal. Now the multi interface shoe, you don't really need this as far as on gimbal work, but it is great to have. I do pop in the multi interface receivers for the wireless mics into this, and the thing is phenomenal. I mean, I don't even know why Panasonic doesn't do this type of technology. I mean, they had one where you put this mount on the bottom, and it worked through like the connections on the bottom of this camera, and that's their kind of way. But you still had to have XLRs on the adapter plate. This one is just the receiver, just plugs right in, and there's no wires at all. It runs power from the camera to power on the receiver. Awesome. One good thing about that is because it doesn't know batteries, no extra weight on the top of the camera from the batteries on the top of the unit. So that's another plus for me. For me, that is. I don't know if it's for you, but autofocus is phase detection, and there's also a face recognition where it detects faces and it focuses on that. Excellent thing. GH4s does not have it, but then again, with the GH4 system, I use it on tripods. When on tripods, image stabilization is off on the lens, and manual focus only, no autofocus at all. Which comes to the next one, autofocus on this. Very excellent. Detects faces, especially when you're on the gimbal. You need autofocus. The GH4, I guess I'm going to go over why I don't use a GH4 on this gimbal. In slow motion, manual focus only. Now, I do manual focus when I'm on tripods, but on the gimbal, it's very hard to be running around trying to focus and all that thing. You want to be able the camera to do most of the work, so you're not fighting your shots and you're just getting the shots. So in slow motion, this is manual focus only, and it's kind of and you're zoomed in and you're at a 2.8. You really need to keep that same distance from your subject when they're walking. If they walk faster, you're gonna have to walk faster. If they walk slow, you're gonna have to slow down. Just that kind of stuff. It does show up on your footage. So with the autofocus, you just have to make sure you're getting the framing done, and you don't have to worry about is it in focus as well and that kind of stuff. You just see the square on the face and you know you're good to go. So Autofocus is another a plus for gimbal work. And then, like I said, the main reason why I got this was for gimbaling. So pretty much all the features that this has that this doesn't have, and even the GH5s, this is better for me. Is better for gimbal work. So USB. Now another way I run this. Now one of the cons is it overheats. It's all over the internet. Everybody's talking about overheats, and they say to run an external battery. Well, on a gimbal, I use the DJI Ronin M. Okay, the Ronin M, and the way I run this camera on the Ronin is, let me get it set up straight right here. On the back of the Ronin M, there's what they call a D-tap. Now, a D-tap is basically your power, is power out. You can power things, power lights, power all kinds of accessories, a monitor, whatever you need to power externally without having to add batteries. Like, you know what I mean? There's one thing you don't want to do on a camera is run lights on a camera. You have to pop batteries in there. I used to use the light panels, and it takes 6 AA batteries. Can you imagine how heavy that light is on top of a camera? And especially on the front cold shoe, that camera's gonna be front heavy now. So if you can eliminate the batteries and power it with D-taps, you're gonna have lighter accessories, and you're gonna be able to not fight the camera, but just make sure you're getting the shot. So D-tap out of my DJI Ronin M into the A6500 via the USB port. And now what this does is this camera runs off of the battery from the DJI Ronin M. Now, what they say about the overheating is, you know, you run these battery grips where the battery's away from the camera and it's not using the battery internally. Same concept. The Ronin M is running the camera, but I still keep a battery in the camera. So if I ever need to just pop this off the Ronin M, it'll automatically switch to the battery in the camera. So now I can run and gun with this setup right here, not worry about draining the battery. Now I need to pop it off and pop it onto a tripod. Pop this off, put on a tripod, battery's still fresh. 100%, 80%, whatever you left it off at when you plug this in. So that's one of the pros. The GH4, I never did try using the USB to power the camera, but nonetheless, the GH4 is a bigger camera than this, heavier, so I think it's a lot easier and lighter for me to gimbal around a lot when I have a smaller and lighter camera on there with still superb image quality. So another pro is right there. And then the programmable functions. I mean, this overall camera for gimbal work for me is awesome. Now I'm going to go into the cons on why I'm not switching over to this camera system for my main shooting. And of course, one was the overheating issue. Coming from Hawaii, doing weddings, pretty much is always outdoors. I mean, who's gonna fly from the mainland, from another country, come to Hawaii to have an indoor wedding? It's gonna be outdoors 90% of the time, in the hot sun, direct sun. This thing did overheat on me a couple times, but not on main shooting. It was just testing it out. I was setting up for a wedding, and I was like, I had this with me. I said, yeah, just test it out. Took it out, threw it on top of the wall where I was setting up on. Just hit it run. I didn't do all that fancy stuff that people say, pop out the screen, put an external battery and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to run it like how I might do on a shoot. I don't want to have to be able to remember to pop the screen out and do all these things just to get it to work, right? So, popped it on the wall. It shut off in 14 minutes. Thermal came in around 7 minutes. I mean, when I went to check on it, 7 minutes and it was on already. So, 14 minutes it shut off. That's not good. Weddings are usually around 20 minutes, half an hour. And then with the photo shoot and stuff like that we do, an hour. This thing 14 minutes and it died, and then I can't run like that. Just can't run that like that. GH4. I shot with this several hours, hot sun, direct heat. This thing was hot. Still worked like a tank. I mean, it was a workhorse. So that's the reason why I'm still gonna keep the GH4 system. Maybe GH5, depends on what Sony does, but looks like it's leaning for GH5 already. I mean, I don't think they're gonna release a A7S3 anytime soon. So anyway, another con, hard to see this screen outdoors. Indoors is fine. Outdoors, the direct sun, this screen is glossy. It is dimmer in video mode, so it's hard to see the screen. I'm really straining my eyes trying to see if the face detection is working, to see if I'm in focus, to see what the exposure is. I mean, all of these things that should be checked on, I can't see because it's very hard to see. Now this camera is a little less than this camera. Okay, now even a lot cheaper compared to the GH5, which is around 2,000. This, I think, with the battery, it was like, I mean, with the lens, I got this kit lens. I think it was like 14, something like that, 1400. Now everybody's saying run a monitor on this. The cheapest and good one that's out right now is the small HD Focus, which is around $500-600. Now this thing just came up to the price of a GH5, $2,000. So thinking it's cheap, now with all these accessories and additional things you have to do to make it work, it's just running the price of a GH5. But now those things don't work. To me, they're not as good on a gimbal, so that's why I'm still going to keep this and run it on my gimbal and not get a GH5 and run it on a gimbal. So this stays on gimbal work only, and it will be a support camera, but not our main cameras. So also the Play Memories app, to operate this with the phone, you can operate this with your phone, is a joke. I mean, turning this on, all I get is record and stop. That's it. The GH4, oh my gosh. If you ever have a chance to play with the GH4, their app, you have almost total control over this camera. I can change f-stop, shutter, you name it. Everything I need to do video work on, I can do with this. The only thing I can do is zoom. There's still a manual thing. I can even focus through the app, the phone app. This one, pretty much just record, stop. That's it. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I was thinking about using my phone for an external monitor, but when you're not recording, this thing shuts off. It goes to sleep, and then now it loses connection on your phone. So now if I'm on gimbal and they say cut and we're gonna switch over to another location, or just walk over to another area, I stop recording, walk over to the next destination, this camera goes into sleep mode. All of a sudden my phone is off because they lost the connection. Now all of a sudden I have to resync everything. I have to start the app again, and yeah, it's not what I expect as far as, or what I need it to be, as far as the app goes. After using this, I mean, it is crazy. You can pretty much run this camera by like not even man it. You can be on another camera and just run this from your phone from the other camera. It reaches far too, the app. So that's the reason why I'm going to keep the GH4 pretty much for now. And then on top of that too, to switch the there's an option you can do here. You hit this function. This function comes up these little quick menus to navigate through things. So now I want to switch over. On my gimbal, I want to switch over from regular shooting to say slow motion. You click on this. This thing is very, very laggy. And it's frustrating when your photographer is taking shots and you're trying to switch from slow motion to regular, and you click into this function and it's lagging and you're trying to get through it. See how laggy it is? And now you over past say your manual, and you're like, oh, because you're trying to click fast. You see how slow it is? It's like, yeah. So that's another thing. I mean, I don't know why it's laggy, but I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. You just got to get used to it. Kind of like get used to how many clicks it is from slow motion to your manual, and then just hit the numbers and just hopefully it gets on that mark. I mean, that's little things that you kind of like work around things, but for the most part, to me, that's kind of like kind of a not pet peeve, but it's just something that's you kind of wish it was more responsive. Yeah. So also another thing that is a con is this record button. Although it is recessed and it's hard to accidentally press on a record, it is tiny and hard to press to record. I wish in video mode they would just make this button be able to say, just like photos, like the GH4, I can program this. Actually, this in video mode, it's a record button. And I'm pretty sure Sony can just, in an update, make this a record button as well. You're unable to record or unable, it's not photo mode or something like that. But it lets you know something that it's not available. Turn this into a record button as well. Big, easy, just press it, records. Press it again, stop. This one, I use my thumb and it's like really, sometimes I press it and it's like, oh, it's not recording. Like it's very, very hard. So a lot of people, they put this little button over it to make it easier to do it. I just say, just turn this into a record button. And it's a lot better. But that's just my opinion. I kind of wish they did that, or even make it programmable. At least give you the option to make it record or not. And so that's pretty much the overall. I mean, the A6500 is a great camera. I am going to keep it. I'm still going to be using it on gimbal only. I still don't have the trust in it as far as getting to be, or it to be a main camera. It's pretty much going to be secondary camera and gimbal camera only. I did shoot several weddings recently with this on a gimbal. Bride coming in, the groom, the bridal party coming in, gimbaled it, popped it off, popped onto a tripod, got secondary shots for this, and then popped it off, popped it back onto the gimbal, and then started shooting the photo shoot. But record here and there, record stop. Use the USB plug-in. It did get hot. It didn't overheat, but it did get hot. So kind of was worried there. When it was really hot, I got kind of worried, but it didn't shut off and it did the job. So if you're looking at getting this camera, if you can deal with a lot of things, then go for it. I mean, just the 5-axis image stabilization and the autofocus features is the main reason why I got it. Other than that, I knew about the overheating problems. I knew about the other quirks. I did not know that the app was that bad. It's very plain. Record and stop. Oh man, that's a joke. But and then barely seeing it. Outdoors, bright sunlight, barely seeing the screen. That's another. That's a huge one. That's another huge one. I mean, you don't know your subject is in focus. That's pretty bad. So definitely, I will be buying the small HD monitor because I still want to use this on the gimbal because of the autofocus and stabilization functions is still a plus in my book, and the reason why I want to make this work on the gimbal. But I will need to get that monitor. But other than that, that's my pretty much my reasons why I am not switching completely over to the E-mount system. Oh, another thing, camera is pricier. Great camera, great features, but lenses for them are, oh my goodness, way more than the Panasonics. So Panasonics, in my book, as far as like what it does, it's a workhorse. The lenses are very, a lot more affordable than these lenses. It just makes sense to just keep the system, because it's a workhorse for me, and great results from it. So until they come out with an A7S III, I'm pretty much just sticking with the Panasonics. So that's that in the video. Hope you enjoyed this video, and mahalo for watching, and see you on the next one.